Hi guys, it's Foye, but you can call me Foye.
This is Lola, but you can call me Lola if you like.
This is Velisa, and you can call me Vels if you want.
And we have a very, very special guest today. The OG, one of the OGs of the whole podcasting game. 1/3 of the receipts, the amazing Audrey.
And this is
Episode 20
of the Everybody Hates HR podcast.
Hi.
Hi, ladies. That was such a good introduction.
Oh, thank you. I was actually really nervous
That
to
was
do that.
really good. No, I loved it. I
You feel hyped?
feel
You feel
very,
ready?
very hyped. Yes.
Good,
Thank
good.
you.
We
Thanks for
love
having
that.
me.
Good.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. Like, we've only recently started having guests on. I mean, we've only recently just started the podcast. So
Yeah.
to have you on is like amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And everybody does hate HR.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not fair, is it?
No, it's not right. I mean, HR are people too,
Yeah.
you know? However, it's good that you do you know what?
Drag us.
It's good
It's
that
cool.
you ladies are doing this.
Yeah.
Does everyone identify as ladies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd just like to double check these things.
Yeah.
Because I think that we need to hear the other side of the coin because you guys do have a bad reputation.
We do.
And it ain't right,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you think we look like your typical HR?
No, you look like Insta baddies.
Oh,
I love that.
Yeah, I wouldn't, you're not giving HR, but that's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Good.
We don't want to give
That's
HR.
Yeah, you're young and pretty black women.
Thanks. Do you know what? Before we get into it, I have something called Black and HR separate from the podcast. And I have an old video that I did where I screenshotted loads of tweets of people saying bad stuff about HR. And guess
Guess who's in there? Oh,
I made a video out of it to show that, hey, like, you know, we're not that bad.
no. What did I say? Oh, not her having the receipts.
I have the receipt.
says one
came
minute,
with
let
the
me pull it up.
receipt.
I'll put it up. I got all of you lot, 4K. Here, if HR are the biggest snakes, then the people you go to complain about.
Damn it, man. I was in my feelings.
Does that still stand?
What did you do?
I'm trying to think. Can we tell me the year?
2017.
Damn. Oh, yeah.
Was that a bad place?
That was a time where, do you know what? I think at the time I was having issues with a boss, and I went to HR because everyone always says like go to HR, record it so that you've got like
Yeah.
receipts essentially,
Yeah.
right? And I just remember them being probably quite unhelpful, and that's what triggered that tweet. But yeah, I don't know that it still stands now.
That's fine.
It depends where, you know, like, even though we work in HR, like, we like say, like, we're good HR people.
Yeah.
It's like anything. Some people are great at their job. Some
Yeah.
people literally would rather be somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely.
So before we get into it, we've got a Would You Rather segment that we
Okay.
do with all the guests.
Okay.
All career related, kind of.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Be self-employed or employed.
Ooh, do you know what? I just went self-employed, so I would say employed. You know,
Really?
I can't lie. Like,
Is it
I
the
don't
ghetto?
like the independence. I don't know if I don't know how I feel about being like so alone. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like when you're employed, you have more structure. And I love structure, you know, and so having to go fend for myself, like I don't know how I feel about that, you know. So right now in this very moment, I will say employed.
Okay. That's fair. Work from home or the office.
Do you know what? Yeah, my initial instinct was to be like home, but actually, when I was working from home and I was in my 9 to 5, I did miss the office, but not because like I liked working from the office, but I just missed the social aspect.
Yeah.
I miss the tea point. I miss just like after work drinks. Not that I ever went, but I miss just like being asked and declining the invitation.
Yeah, that's
Do you know what
fair.
I mean? It's like those little things, and just like gisting and just like all the time I wasted. I feel like when you work from home, you're actually expected to do more because there's no reason to get up and kind of just like,
Yeah.
5, 6 teas of the
yeah,
day.
exactly.
That's true.
Whereas when I was at the tea point, I'd go check my friends. I would go to their desks and I would take the long way round. You know, I would go sit in the canteen. I would do all sorts. So I would say, would I rather, but in general, home
Yeah.
because I don't like the tube.
Okay. Yeah, cheap is the go. Public or private sector?
Oh, private. Private, honey. I've heard some people are really suffering in the public one.
It's
Yeah.
the ghetto.
Because I'm just like, you guys have to pay for your own drinks. Like, I'm like,
No, it's true.
There's no company credit card.
your own Christmas dues. When I heard that, I was like, ew. Like, honestly, I couldn't believe it. I was so sad. Like, my
Yes.
friend that was telling me, I was like, you have to pay for your own Christmas drinks. That is wild. Like,
Can't imagine that.
no, I can't imagine that, Hans. So it's definitely private.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Side hustle or no side hustle?
For me personally, I've always had a side hustle, but it's not, I wouldn't call it a hustle because I never made any money from it. I would call it more a side hobby.
Okay.
Fair.
Because I liked having things to do outside of my job. Like, I remember being like, okay, this is how I'm going to make money and this is what I'm going to do.
The intention
Things
was
that I
to make money. You just didn't make the money.
But yeah, I tried and failed at making money for my side hustle. So then I gave up and I was like, do you know what? You can do things on the side that you just genuinely enjoy, and your 9 to 5, your job can be how you pay the bills.
Yeah.
You know?
But the receipt was that, would you have classed that as a side hustle?
At the time it was, because I didn't think it was going to be my career.
Yeah.
I was just doing it. I'd always done extra things. I used to do another podcast before the receipts. We won't talk about that. But and obviously eventually it's turned into a whole career. But at the time, it definitely, I didn't think it would be anything. I never saw myself making money from it ever. Yeah.
Make lunch or buy lunch?
Oh, bye. Oh, I'm not good at taking lunch in, and because I'm such a foodie, I don't like eating the same thing the next day. So it's like,
Same. Yeah.
I
I can eat jollof rice every day.
No.
One thing about me, I need to eat fresh. Like that's my little like thing that I have. Like, I love cooking so much, and anyway, I love cooking. So I would always buy lunch, like at work. So I was just like, I'm not.
What's the lunch? Like, if you're, what are your places that you're gonna go?
Oh, do you know what? I say all of that to say I'm just basic. I'd be in Pret.
Oh, don't say
Yeah.
No,
And
but they have the city in a chokehold.
they do, because they're on every bloody corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to avoid, and especially if you just want something quick. So, or, you know, I'm also partial to an itsu or a wasabi. You know, I need to eat good, so a hot lunch I would always buy.
Yeah.
No, but Audrey, no.
It's a waste of
Pret,
money.
Itsu, wasabi,
Yeah.
they're not,
I
it's not
know,
giving.
I know, not at all.
What do you want her to go, Nobu?
I like going to all the
Leon.
ones that don't have names, like the small independent.
Oh, like
They're
independent
so
ones.
good.
Do you know what? That's very true, but I'm too scared because I take my lunch so seriously. Yeah, so I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, you don't wanna ruin
wanna
it.
risk it. So, but yeah, you're
I
actually
paid
right.
$5.95 for a salad today in Pret, and I swear it was like 3 leaves and some hummus.
Yeah.
And some pomegranates.
It is a mockery, to be honest, what they're doing.
Early start and early finish, or late start and late finish?
Late and late, honey. I'm not like a morning person at all. Like, no, the thing is, I'm supposed to just answer this, innit? And I'm just proper talking.
It's fine. Go for it. Yeah.
After anyway.
I'm not a fast fire kind of person, yeah. However, I love the concept of early start, early finish, but I struggle to get out of bed.
Okay.
So to answer the question, I would say the late one. Yeah, the late one.
Good benefits or more money?
More money, man.
Always.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
money
private
I can
sector
buy
girl.
my own business. I can buy my own benefits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's pay me right.
Work socials or stay home?
I never went. I was so bad. But I love the idea of them, though. That's the thing, though. They'd be like, oh, Audrey, we're going for drinks. I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there, blah, blah, blah. And I never, ever went. But I'm not being funny, but I've spent 8 hours with you people. No,
It's true.
The rest of my precious hours that I've
It's
got
true.
left, I've barely seen my friends and family and my bloody husband. And you guys want me to hang around with you?
It's true.
Like, go home. Yeah. The stay home part.
Fair
yeah.
enough.
I think I know the answers to this, but LinkedIn or Instagram?
Oh, Instagram. LinkedIn is not my app, you know. Or
Do you have a
website?
profile?
I do. It's so dusty. It really is ashy, that profile. Yeah, definitely Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, tea. I don't drink coffee.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
It's so intense for no reason.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very strong and It's not for me.
It's nice.
I'm a tea bird.
But you have like an espresso martini and stuff like that.
No, I don't like anything coffee flavoured. It's not a bit of me at all.
Would you take to give you a bit of a take like a Red
Yes.
Bull?
Yeah, I'd more likely drink like a Red Bull or energy drink or something, but I'm not a coffee person at all. At all, for tea all day. I love tea though.
MacBook or Windows?
Oh, Windows. Oh my God. Do you know what? Yeah, Tolly and Milena bullied me into buying a Mac. And I was like, hang on, who am I trying to please? Like, what am I doing? Like, I've always worked on Windows my whole career. I've just never used Mac, and I know that people say it's better for whatever reasons, but I just can't get my head around the shortcuts and how to use it. So I did buy one, and they really bullied me into buying one. And I swear to God, I couldn't tell you the last time I turned it on.
Really?
Wow.
I never use it. So I ended up, so for a long time I was using my work laptop as my main computer, Then the pandemic happened and we were recording from home, and there was always some issues with my laptop, and the girls were like, you need to get a Mac, this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. I got a Mac, and then obviously we're outside again.
Yeah.
So I've just barely used it, but then I did recently buy a new PC. Like I was like, no, let me just stick to what I know, you know?
I use Windows for work, and like that, I've had that thing for like 7 years, and it's really going strong.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
I'm a fan girl.
I've heard that they're good, but I need to experiment around with it a bit more. Yeah.
I think for me, like, I only watch Real Housewives and stuff on my laptop. So it didn't make, I have a Mac, but it doesn't make sense because all I do is watch shows on it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one is trainers or shoes.
Ooh. Shoes, I guess. I used to never ever wear trainers ever, and now I'm a proper trainer person. But I'll still say shoes. Yeah, shoes.
I was gonna say trainers because I'm like, I see you a lot in trainers.
Yeah.
I wear
fashion babe.
I wear trainers a lot, and I've got so many now. It's crazy. Like 14-year-old me is gassed because I never wore trainers ever. I had I'm not really a shoe person in general.
Yeah.
But now I've got so many pairs of trainers. Actually, trainers.
Trainers?
Yeah, because I feel like I wear them more.
I feel like we literally just had you convince yourself.
Yeah, literally.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know actually. I actually don't know. Trainers.
Trainers?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to that.
Heels or flats? This is just an extra one.
Oh, definitely heels.
Okay.
Actually,
Maybe 5'3.5".
Who's taller?
queen.
Yeah.
I'm taller. Don't. Okay, so you guys are like 5'12" or something. They're always calling me short. But I'm actually the average height for a woman.
Yeah, 5'3" is average, no?
Is it?
In this country.
In the UK?
It's 5'4". It's 5'4".
Oh,
But it's
all I know is I'm taller than Tolly and Milena. It's an argument.
They look taller than you.
Yeah.
You don't look taller.
And it's an argument all the time. And so
See, you're not the only one, you see?
they always trying to rain on my parade and not give me my flowers.
No, but are you actually taller than them?
Yeah, by like an inch.
Oh, I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe that
Okay.
at all.
I don't know. They probably will hear this. Yeah, I'm not going to hear the end of it. However, we are all like exactly the same height.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you said you were
The silence.
That was a diplomatic
But
answer.
I do feel
you
like
said you were taller.
I do feel like I'm taller though. That's the thing. Like, I do feel taller.
Okay. The room actually went silent. So where do we start?
Well, we were discussing, you spoke about potentially going back to work.
Or the door would always be open.
Oh, who me? Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I would never like close the door and having like a 9 to 5 or anything like that again, because you just never know. And it's not even necessarily about if this fails. I might just want to, you know, or, you know, I've thought about several business ideas which could potentially become a 9 to 5. So I'm not opposed to it at all. I stand by it, you know, and also I feel like I wanted to say it out loud in case this does go down the drain. And like no one can ever be like, oh, you see, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I said it though. I said if I have to go back to work, one thing about me, I'll go back to work. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, okay, cool.
It's not a family show.
Because I swear often, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, if it goes tits up, then I would absolutely consider it. Yeah, definitely.
So you've left your 9 to 5 and there's a lot of people who have 9 to 5s and doing something on the side, hoping that what happened to you with the receipts will happen to them.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Like, how do you juggle being a babe, a receipts girl, and having a 9 to 5? Like, how was that possible?
Oh my God. Do you know what? Yeah, those days seem like, they just seem mad. It's doable. I just feel like I don't know, in my line of work, I was a PA. So being organised had to be my bag, you know? So I think that plays a massive part. And I am a very organised person in general. And so, so I just managed to juggle everything. And it's just about prioritising, really. But, you know, also having an accommodating, like, team, basically. And, like, you know, the girls were so accommodating. Like, if I had work commitments, we would just shift things and move things around. So I feel like if you've got people in your corner, you can do anything, really. But, you know, I did really... I was still outside, working, podcast, you know... with everything else going on, I'm just like, I don't know how I did it, but yeah, it was doable. And also I feel like with my job, I knew that job like the back of my hand, and I had a really good relationship with my boss, and I knew how she worked and what she needed doing, what wasn't so important. And so I was really able to just prioritize. Yeah. And when you know a job like the back of your hand, like you can make it work, you know? So so I managed to, but to be honest, I feel like the pandemic and working from home made it easier because before, when we were in the office, we weren't as busy with receipt stuff. I mean, it was getting busy, but it was very much doable. Yeah. But then as the years went on, we were just getting more meetings, and it was just getting harder and harder. But working from home just created that kind of balance. So I'd be like, okay, well, I can be a little bit MIA. I can go record and then come back and catch up on my work. And that's basically what I was doing. And then it started to get to a point where I was like, okay, no, I can't do this anymore. I need to consider leaving. Yeah. So yeah, but it was tough. Not really. It was and it wasn't, you know. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, it's so hard. It wasn't. I managed it just fine. But it was just time for me to take the plunge.
How did you find, did people at work know you were on the receipts, or was that kind of like a secret up until a certain point, or were you just like, how did that pan out? Because I know there's a lot of people that have side hustles and they don't necessarily tell their work that they do this on the side. So
I absolutely kept it a secret at first because I wasn't sure. I mean, it kind of helps because it was all media, but I kept it a secret at first because I didn't really want people knowing that side of me. Like, I'm going on there talking about my sex life and talking about my life in detail. And I didn't really want my colleagues at the tea point looking at me being like, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And also I didn't know how they were going to respond. And also I was worried because I was like, okay, if they know I'm doing this thing and I'm late, or, you know, how they're going to make a correlation between me having this side hustle and me not being able to do my job properly. And I never wanted it to be a thing that got me like sacked or had too many eyes on me. I just wanted to be able to do my job and go. And I wanted to keep the two very separate. And I did for a really long time until the billboards came out. And then that's when it got a bit peak because
the people come. I saw you on a billboard.
Yeah, because literally they were. My office was in Tottenham Court Road, and literally we had a big one on Tottenham Court Road. And then that's when people were like, people that I'd never spoken to at the tea point were suddenly looking at me like just stirring their tea bare hard, like, you know, and just like putting in 10 sugars because they're like, is she like, you know, and then
that must have been so funny.
It was, and I'd just be like, am I wearing a pink wig, or have these people seen the billboard? And then there were a couple of people that actually listened. And they kind of put two and two together. And so I knew there were a couple of people that listened. And I was like, okay, yes. You know, like keep it on the DL kind of thing. But it just started, as we became more visible, it was just getting harder and harder to contain.
So do you remember the conversation you had with your boss then when it basically got too hard to hide?
Yeah, so my boss at the time, to be honest with you, she's such a workaholic, bless her. Shout out you. She is such a workaholic. Honestly, I swear to God, I could have come to the office naked and she'd just be like, Audrey, what time is my 9 o'clock? Like, where is my 9 o'clock? Like, she wouldn't even notice. So she wasn't really fazed by it. Every now and then we would have a conversation. She'd be like, oh, so how's your podcast going? What are you doing with that? And blah, blah, blah. She'd ask me questions, but we never like sat down and had like an official conversation or anything, but it would come up every now and then. And some of my teammates would make comments and they would say things and they'll be like, oh, Audrey, we saw you on TV yesterday. Or, you know, we heard you on the radio and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, you know, it was very gradual. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't really remember it going from 0 to 100. I just remember it like it starting off with like little splashes, and then eventually everybody just knew, and then eventually it just wasn't even a secret anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I couldn't hide it. Yeah.
We spoke about it. You said LinkedIn is not your platform. Did you put like that you're a podcaster or that you have a podcast on your LinkedIn profile?
No, my LinkedIn is all to do with my PA stuff, with my PA career. To be honest, I don't even know what the heck is on there. I can't remember. I don't even remember setting that profile up, nothing. But LinkedIn was good for finding jobs though. Like there's some like really good jobs on there. But my LinkedIn profile, no, nothing to do with.
Even to today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird. Like I don't call myself a podcaster. I don't know, when people are like, oh, what do you do? I just say I'm self-employed. You know, or I just, I don't say I'm a podcaster, but I will be like, oh, you know, I work for Spotify. Yeah,
okay.
I'll just say that because it's still quite new to a lot of people, you know. So I'm just like, a lot of people don't even know what podcasts are. So I'm not.
And I guess you do like more. Like you've been doing different things, not just podcasts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you've been facilitating conversations. and stuff like that.
Exactly. I've been doing it all.
What do
We see you.
what is that called?
I don't know.
Multi-talented.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely that part. No, I really don't know. I guess like, you know, I guess content creator. I don't feel like I do create content because I don't really use my socials for that. But
Podcast is content. What's content?
oh yeah. Podcast is definitely content. So I guess I could say that. I don't know. I need to come up with a title.
Audrey.
I'm just Audrey. Yeah.
yeah.
You know about that lady on that video where they stopped her and they were like, oh, what do you do? She came out of her Lamborghini with her.
I'm married.
I'm married. Yeah.
Love that for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Must be nice, but
Yeah, exactly. Imagine.
So to bring it kind of back links into HR. So there was somebody on TikTok who did a TikTok about how much she earns and where she works, and like, follow me. You must have seen those sort of TikToks, like follow me on my day. It's like,
see what I earn as a blah, see what I spend as a
yeah. She did one of those and she lost her job. They got rid of her. Yeah, they were like, no, you can't do that.
Why? Was it because she showed that she got paid?
Yeah, and where she worked, like which company it was paying her that.
I mean, that was dumb.
Schoolboy era.
Some companies like it though. Like it depends what kind of company and what the pay stuff is.
Yeah.
Some companies, I work somewhere where everyone gets paid, and they love it. Like they want you to go and, if it's a good video, they want you to go out and say, oh hey guys, I work at Google, and you know this is my life at Google, and this is how cool it is. Some companies will just be like, literally leave now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. The last company I worked at, there was massive Google spreadsheets, docs, and it had what level you were, how much you got paid, how much stocks you got, what location you were in, like what was your sign-on bonus, all of that stuff. Like
Bonuses as well, right?
yeah, literally everything was in the spreadsheet, and people would go there to kind of check, well, I'm this level and I'm here, like, am I this? But it was okay. Like nobody,
Wow.
they created it. As in the employees, the employees created it, but the employer didn't have a problem with it because to them it's like whatever. So then people externally, like this girl on TikTok, they do the same thing all the time, like say how much they earn and whatever and why they quit, blah blah blah. Anyway, I say all of that to say, like with social media, how did you handle it when you were at work? You know, having social media in general and then being part of the receipts and still having social media and like people paying more attention to you than they were before.
Yeah.
Like
It's mad. So at work, that's why I was called Ghana's Finest for so long. That was one of the reasons. So I was like, I never wanted to have my full government name on my socials. People to come be finding me, and I want to be able to tweet freely. And I use social media heavily at work. Like I didn't give a heck. Like I used to tweet so, like Twitter is my favorite platform. I would say my favorite social media platform. And yeah, I used to tweet everything. It was like my diary. Every single possible thought that came to my head, I would tweet it, and I was on there heavy. And so yeah, so I did that and got away with it because no one really knew my handles. Like, do you know what I mean? And I never would let my colleagues follow me. I
Do you tweet about work people or work?
I did, but I would never say anything bad about work. So I just didn't have anything really bad to say. And I always felt like that was just dumb. Like, I just never felt the need to be like, oh, my boss is a bitch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You say it's dumb, but
People do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's dumb, and but you would think everybody would know that.
Yeah, and I just do you know what? I don't know. I need to go and actually search my tweets, but I can't. I just couldn't imagine doing that because I just had heard so many horror stories about people getting caught, and to me, it just never seemed worth it. But yeah, big, heavy on social media all the time, tweeting any minute I got. I had a couple jobs where like all I did was be on social media, and I'd be on Twitter all day long, just like beefing people and getting into these heated debates all the time and stuff like that. And obviously, and even up until like doing the podcast, starting the podcast and stuff, I would still tweet my opinions quite freely. Like I'm one of those people that tweeted my opinions a lot. Like if something was happening socially, you know, or if something was happening like in pop culture or whatever, I would proper just go and give my opinion. And my engagement was always really good. I would say I had quite a good following before I started doing the receipts. Obviously, when I started doing the podcast, it got bigger. But now I'm very conscious about what I tweet and what I say in general and just talking in general.
It's so funny because now you're so I'm self-employed as well. I did recently, and now I'm self-employed. I'm less. I really care less because I'm like I don't have an employer. The anxiety from me would come from the prospect that someone would take what I've written and send it to my employer because people love to do that.
They love to do that. I remember, I don't know if you guys know, there was a story on Twitter about that girl who was tweeting about how to help black women in tech or something.
She was our guest.
Let's shout you out.
Shout out you because the streets are so mean. Like, how do you take a positive thing and go and snitch and turn it into something so ugly? I just remember thinking that this is why people don't share things. This is why people don't give you information because you bastards. Like, I just remember that. So, like, people are mean on social media. There was another one where some girl tweeted her flight tickets innocently. She was getting ready to go on holiday with her boyfriend. And please tell me why.
I think I remember this.
Went and cancelled the flight.
I remember this.
That's
it's wicked. Yeah, it's wicked.
I genuinely don't even think she was aware. I think that she genuinely was just you know, like how you post your passport.
Yeah.
Didn't blow up the ticket. She didn't blow up the ticket
Who are
number.
your enemies? Like,
Exactly.
like they're your
That is
enemies.
so mean. Imagine you go to check in and it's like, this ticket is not valid, or this ticket is like, huh?
And then you can't get no money back.
No, of course not. You just cancelled it.
You know what?
Like, that is mad.
People are wicked.
That person was trying to teach her a lesson.
And I'm sure she learned.
To not tweet your flat details.
Yeah, but you can DM me and just be like, ma'am, like,
It's true.
Why just go cancel to prove a point? Anyway, it was crazy. So for me, like, now I don't tweet my opinions as much. Now that Love Island's back, I'm always in my Twitter bag on Love Island, but I always delete my Love Island tweets after.
Do you?
Yeah. So when the show's over, I'll go back and delete everything.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm just like...
You hashtag Love Island then, everyone.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I do. But I don't know, because of the way things are now, things can be taken out of context so easy.
People sometimes want to.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get dragged for something that I said about Love Island last year because I was talking about someone's whatever.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden this is like not a PC thing to say next year. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just very, very conscious. But also I just didn't really want to be talking up and down anymore. I realised like people have a disdain for people that just talk all the time and give their opinion.
Yeah.
Like, very true. But I have a podcast where like that's an active decision to go and listen to my opinion. So if you want to hear my thoughts, now I tend to just save my content for the podcast.
Right.
Whereas before I used to just be tweeting, writing. I was proper threadisha. Like I would just be writing up threads left, right and centre all the time and just putting things on Instagram and just any platform.
I find your tweets hilarious. Like, but now, like, you do obviously share your opinion, but usually it's on like just funny stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's just light stuff. Like if I'm gonna tweet something, it's not gonna be like hard hitting because there was also a point where the blogs were taking my tweets and putting them on like the blogs.
Yeah.
And I would just be
Shall
like,
not be named.
like nah, because once it's taken out of context and put in front of another audience that don't know you, they don't follow you, they don't know
That's all
your
it
banter,
takes.
or they don't like you. Maybe they are aware of you, they just don't like you, or they just want to not like you. So now they see it, and that's when people are commenting, and I'm just like, I don't have thick skin.
Twitter as well. You say it's your favorite. Twitter is good. I love like Twitter is where I go for jokes, but it's literally a cesspit.
It is.
And if I believe wholeheartedly, like everybody will have their day on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because there'll be people just because you're successful that don't like you.
Yeah.
Literally.
And the day, hopefully the day never comes, but I believe everybody has their day.
Yeah.
The day that it's come to pile on someone, everybody will come from the four corners who've been sitting on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they will start emailing your employer.
That's exactly what they do. Talking about, I always knew there was. If you knew, then why didn't you say it then?
It's true.
And why couldn't you be the pioneer? Why did you have to wait for someone to say something bad for you to jump on the bandwagon? That's literally what happens all the time.
Yeah.
People do their jobs though.
Yeah, they do.
It depends on the context.
Did you guys see that video of the guy, that delivery driver?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a dickhead.
But he needed more. He
was a prick.
He needed a beat down.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Like
100%.
that is absolutely disgusting. And that video really angered me.
Yeah.
It was so I was actually upset. Like he
Explain the video for the
Yeah. Oh, should I?
go.
Don't get carried away, child. Don't
No,
get me So basically, this prick of a delivery driver, he videoed himself with this lady's medication, and she had thrush cream, and he like literally showed it on camera, and he was like, "Oh, let's see if she admits what this is." And then he was like, basically, just like antagonizing her, and he was like, asking her, "Oh, what's in the packet? What's in the packet?" Like, if you don't just deliver it and fuck off.
Literally.
Like, it was so horrible, and she just looked so uncomfortable.
He's so childish.
He is pathetic, and he obviously hasn't been around women enough to know.
Clearly.
No.
the fact that she was a woman, because if it, obviously men don't, well, I don't know, do men get thrust?
I'm sure they do.
I don't know, but yeah.
There's an equivalent somewhere.
But if it was a big man, you wouldn't be coming out here to be like, "Oh, what's this for?" Because
Exactly.
They said
sometimes
that.
I believe in violence.
They said the incel community is on the rise.
They really are. Have you read that book? Men Who Hate Women. That book is very triggering.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but there are lots.
There's lots of them, trust me, and they're just multiplying.
Oh
Lots of
no.
them are in the workplace, and lots of them are in relationships. And those are two very scary places for them.
That's true. And some have relationships in the workplace.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine. God.
Clout chasers.
But would you ever, like, if you like, what do you think about people that meet people at work?
I'm not mad at it. I don't know if it's for me, because that's team too much. Like I'm not like that kind of like live in someone's pockets kind of person. Like I'm quite an independent person. And so like if we had to like get up together and go to work together and take lunch together and come home together, it's a bit much. Like where I worked before, the way the office was set up, I can imagine you could get in a relationship because it was like 2 floors and very separate. So I can imagine if you work in different departments, like you can get away with it. But if you startups and you small companies, then nah, it's not for me. I don't even think I would want to date someone that does what I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's too
That's
close to home.
interesting.
Like, I would never date a podcaster.
I mean, who really wants to date a podcaster
a male
that's
podcaster,
a man? Yeah.
You know what, I don't say they, like, male podcasts have like bad
reputation.
But
Yeah.
also they gave it to them.
They really did. They did.
Sell shit all the time, so they deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. They shot themselves in the foot.
The only kind of podcast, it'd be that you have to have a podcast on a subject, on a specialist subject.
Yes.
Like, it has to have actual content.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a podcast about true crime, come mess with it.
No, do you know what the problem is with the male podcasters? They're just too grown to be talking about the stuff they talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think men should sit around and share their opinions.
They shouldn't.
Like, yeah, I agree with you. If they're talking about talk about sports and building things and like architecture, archery,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know, sumo wrestling. I don't know, whatever.
I don't know if you heard, but like a couple of months ago, there was this ruling where they basically, these 3 male judges said that calling a man bald at work was sexual harassment.
Sir, if you have no hair, you're bald.
Yeah, no, but they likened it to the equivalent of commenting on the size of a woman's breast.
Oh,
It was a judgment that was made at basically it was a judgment that was made at an employment tribunal, and it was made by 3 men who were also going bald. And they
so they were triggered. Then.
Yeah. And then
That's what we said.
when we posted it on Instagram. One of the comments was, "See, this is why we can no longer let men gather." And I was like,
even in the courts, even within the justice system, they literally can't gather anywhere. And like they can't be more than one of them together because they come up with stupid ideas.
Yeah. We was getting dragged that time as well because
the men were so
they were like women talking about
triggered.
stuff that has nothing to do with them.
Women talking about men.
men
What's that? We're talking about
as
stuff.
usual.
Yeah. Oh, please. They're so. Listen, these incels, they'll come out of the woodworks for a lot less. Like any little thing you say triggers the shit out of them.
Yeah.
They just listen. Just stay in your mum's basements and leave everybody alone. Like, seriously.
I couldn't believe it because I wasn't on that episode. So I woke up and I saw comments coming in. I was like, let me go listen to what these two said and it wasn't even that bad.
No,
and people were like DMing and I was just like,
So insane.
Paragraphs after paragraphs.
It's like, no one is reading all of that. Like, get out of here with all of that typing that you're
You know
doing.
what? Yeah. So we have someone who's probably listening. You know, sometimes people hate consume content.
Oh, yeah.
So we have somebody on our YouTube who says that we're not inclusive because from a gender and a race perspective, that so basically there's no men and we're all black. So we're not inclusive. Okay. And he left some comment and he was like, "Oh, I've listened to 7 episodes. The episode's like an hour."
Thanks for getting our numbers up.
Thank you. But it's literally that kind of thing. Like I don't understand why men are so triggered. Like I can be triggered about real things.
Yeah.
I can never be like a middle-aged white man and be saying, "Oh, look at those 3 black women."
Exactly. And the thing is, okay, cool, if you want to be triggered, but the energy has to be the same the other way around.
Exactly.
Are you going around advocating for black women to be in spaces that are taken up by all white men?
That's what
true.
I don't think you are, sir.
No.
Yeah. He's not.
From Burnley.
He's literally from up north. He was from up north.
You might as well be.
Fred from Burnley. There's always someone like that. Like, always. Oh my God, bye. Like, seriously.
How do you deal with trolls though? Because I feel like that was the first negative comment we got. And I really had to battle with myself and like, I kind of was like, it is whatever. But deep down inside, it was like, ooh.
And he said some negative personal things as well.
Yeah. He's like, targeted,
Yeah, no, it's not easy at all. And like when people are like, oh, just ignore it and just do that, I'm just like, no, sorry, I can't ignore it. As I was saying to you guys before, I don't have thick skin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't sit here and pretend because it does bun and people like, oh, but you get so many, and it's true, like, like Gaga says, you can have 99, whatever she says, but you can get 99 you can get 99 good comments.
Yeah,
and
that one
bad comment, and you just can't help but focus on it, and it's really, like, it's horrible. But I think you genuinely just have to look at it based on, like, the facts. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of helps me. I'm just like, I can't help the fact that you're triggered. I'm sorry that, like, my truth triggers you. Do you know what I mean? And you just kind of have to just dust it off and just try to move on and just try not to focus on it too much. But like, I do practical things. Like I will say this, I don't feel like I deal with trolls that often. Like I'm quite lucky. That hasn't happened as of yet. But every now and then, yeah, you do. You get the odd dodgy comment or whatever. But I just protect myself in ways like, on my Instagram, I've blocked certain words.
Okay.
I usually have my DMs turned off. I've put them back on recently. Usually I have them turned off because it's very overwhelming having like people like messaging me all the time. Sometimes it's like the other day I posted a picture and then someone was like, they DM'd me off a burner and they were like, oh, tuck the boob tube in and uncuff the trousers and then with that, and then you'll be like, that emoji.
Yeah.
Emoji. I was like, listen, Gokwan. First of all, you obviously have a real account and you've also got a burner. And do you know what I mean? So you just have to look at these things and just think, people are crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not nice.
Listen,
I feel like
of audacity.
Yeah,
it's true,
exactly.
but do you know what would annoy me? And I think you experience it, Audrey, because I've seen it with you. Like you'll do a live or something, and you'll get people who genuinely do like you, but they'll just ask the most stupid questions.
People are so enough.
Like so nosy, and I'm just like, I've even been in your life like, leave her alone. Because you see it come up, and it's like you have to find the balance of, okay, this person actually genuinely does like me and listens to the podcast. That's so cute. That's so nice. But like they're also dense. Like they're not. Do you know what I mean? Like 100%. That must be harder to deal with because you can't like just say like suck your mum because you know what I mean? Because because they genuinely do like you. That 100%. I think that's what would irritate me more.
And that's a really good point actually, because the trolls are the trolls, and so you can almost deal with people that are just being straight up horrible because you know how to handle people that are being horrible. But when people are being nosy and it's kind of, and it's, it's not necessarily coming from a bad place, they just want to know. But they're crossing that line of like, okay, hon, like relax or whatever. That is quite tricky, but I usually just ignore it. So like when people do like ask me anything or whatever, and sometimes people ask really personal questions and sometimes people repost the question and they'll be like, I'm not answering this question. And I'm just like, hon, you could have just not answered
just
it.
ignore it.
So I genuinely, when I do that, I don't repost anything that I wouldn't answer. Do you know what I mean? I just answer the thing and ignore ignore all the other things. But on live, it's a bit more difficult to control that sort of thing. But again, I just ignore people. I'll just be like, I'm not talking about that, because there's only so much you can give. And I feel like, you know, I do give a lot of myself as it is.
Yeah,
So,
you
you've got to
definitely
keep
do.
some things for yourself.
Do you know what? There was like the Receipts podcast has like fan pages. And I like, even though it's so nice like to be like, okay, you have fans who want to create an account, I feel like any sort of fan page I always find scary. Like obviously you appreciate the support and everything, but I find that a little bit scary.
I know what you mean, because you don't know the person behind it, but they know everything about you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I swear to God, like, that picture was on my camera roll. How have you got it? How have you got it?
That
kind
is
of
so
thing.
funny.
And I know a lot of people that do have like those fan accounts or whatever, they send them content and stuff like that. They kind of engage with them, and that's cute. But it is nice. It is nice.
My problem is that I watch too much true crime.
You're one of those people.
You get paranoid.
But it's
Too
good. You should
left.
be ahead of the game, I think.
As you just go too deep the other way, basically.
I watch a lot.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, taking it back to your EA days, which actually wasn't that long ago, you must have seen some juicy stuff coming through the inbox.
Oh, yeah.
Were there any that were HR related or things that are a bit
You
like...
have to say where you saw it.
Yeah. Or that you can share, any that were sort of like, ooh.
Oh yeah, all the time. That was the best thing about having my boss's inbox. and when I say my boss, this could be my last job. It could be my job 10 years ago.
Of course, because you've been in EA.
Exactly.
You've been at EA at multiple different places.
I've worked.
Let them know.
Exactly. I used to see just all the time, juice all the time. And I remember I was saying this off air as well. I saw a thing about me before in my boss's diary. And I was like, this is why you've got a PA, because this is not your strong point. That's so dumb. Like, how are you going to put a meeting in and say with someone that works in HR and the subject says Audrey?
My heart would be panicking.
And I have, excuse me, and I have access to your whole everything. Yeah, that was ridiculous. But I pulled him up on it though.
Yeah.
Good.
I pulled him up and I was like, listen, I've seen this meeting about me. Because I was like, it's not me that's going to be sitting here with anxiety. I saw that like Monday and the meeting was for Thursday. I was thinking, I'm waiting until Thursday to find out. You come and tell me on the Friday or whatever. So I pulled him up and he was really embarrassed, to be honest.
Good.
Yeah.
He was really embarrassed, and he should be, because that was a rookie mistake. That was just dumb. And then he was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess like, you know, we might as well have the discussion now. And then he basically was like, oh, you're one of the people we're considering putting up for redundancy.
Oh, I thought you were about to say, I thought it was going to go like one of those happy stories where you're like, oh, he's getting promoted.
No, definitely not. And do you know what's so mad? When I worked in that place, the tongue is very powerful. When I worked in that place, I used to get off at the tube station every day, and I used to be like, I can't believe I get paid this much to do this job because I don't do fuck all. Like, I literally remember saying that day. Remember saying that, and then that day I basically found out about the redundancy.
Wow.
And
I was they clearly thought, we're paying this bitch way too much money and she is not delivering, like the results are not resulting. So I was like, damn it, man, I wonder if I didn't say that to myself, like, would this still be the outcome?
Manifesting.
But, and other than that, you have seen so many things, and I feel like with an EA, I know another situation, my boss, I would often go and greet people, like candidates for interviews or whatever. And I remember going downstairs one time and this woman was coming for an interview and she was like, are you bleep's name of boss? And I was like, no, I'm her assistant. And she was like, oh, okay. She's just like, I don't know what she was thinking. She probably thought, you're way too young to be, because this was a big woman and she was like in her power suit and everything, boy. She came ready. And, but I remember, no, sorry, I'm conflating two stories. But yeah, that did happen. And then there was another time where I went to greet someone and they were so rude to me, but they were so rude. And I remember going back, and because my boss would always ask me, oh, what did you think of them? And I'd be like, shh, this person was really rude.
Yeah.
And then my boss was like, well, they're not going through to the next stage then.
Love that.
Just as simple as that.
Love that.
Like literally just as simple as that. She was just like, well, if she talks to you like that, then that's not someone I would want on my team.
Yeah.
They always like, damn it, no.
They always say, like, you know, when you talk to the EAs, the receptionists, all of that, you need to be nice. Yeah, because you do ask them, like we used to do that as well. We'll ask the receptionist downstairs, which is slightly different, but we'd be like, what did you think? How were they when they were sitting there? Blah blah, and then see.
And anything when you're stuck, it's the EAs that will help you.
Exactly.
Like they'll bail you out. Like
Literally.
Because we have the access to their diary. So
Exactly.
you've got a burning meeting that you want to put in. If you're someone that I don't like, you're waiting until Friday. You know what I mean? Like they can be completely free and have a block of time or whatever. But if I don't like you, you can wait. You know, and it really does boil down to that.
No, and I know, like, listen, you have to be friends with you have to be.
Facilities, the post room boys, the assistants, the people that basically
HR.
navigate. Oh yes, I always bring that up. HR, the people that actually are low key running the show. You know, you've got to be kind to those.
You've got to be kind to everybody,
You should be
innit?
kind to
But like
everybody.
those people,
The support functions.
Definitely, exactly.
They don't get a lot of because usually businesses tend to look after the fee earners more. So it's whoever's bringing in business, and you'll find as well in some companies you'll find that the fee earners get more like higher bonuses, or if redundancies are happening, it's always going to be like support functions that are first to go. And I feel like that sometimes doesn't make sense because a lot of the support functions are really important. So for example, HR, it wouldn't make sense to make HR redundant because who's going to do your processes for you, that sort of thing. But they just like to keep the people that bring the money in there. So sometimes they need the strategic thinkers to be like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. And I feel like if you work in something like HR, there must be bare training. Like I would want to keep that team solid. Like, I don't want to be training up people all the time with all them systems and that you don't use.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it is long. Payroll. You don't want to cheat someone on payroll.
Yeah, some companies don't train nobody. Like
That's true.
I have had a friend, and she had someone in HR, and she would come and tell me what the HR lady was saying or doing, and I'll be like, nah, she hasn't received one day of training in her life.
Oh, poor thing.
Do you know what another question is is what's your perception of HR? So what does HR do, or how has HR helped you
or not helped you
whilst you've been in employment? Because it's good to know what people think of HR, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, when I think of HR, I think definitely the gatekeepers of my paycheck, child. So, definitely need to keep them sweet in that sense. But yeah, no, I do think of that. I think of payroll, I think of I think of HR as the people you go to when you have a problem.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's my first point of call. Like, even if I don't know, I wouldn't. Yeah, they're who I go to complain.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people do.
That is it, pretty much.
Yeah, that's actually fair, because then at least we can maybe help you.
Yeah, problem solvers.
But do you think HR actually help?
In my experiences,
a great way to start something.
In my experience, I've had. Do you know, it's really tricky because I've only ever had like a couple of issues with like people at work, and I felt like it was like a HR thing that I needed to go to them, and I didn't find them particularly helpful. But I feel like it was because there was such a strong power dynamic in what I was complaining about. Because I was complaining about someone very senior, and I just felt like they were just like, yeah, this is irrelevant kind of thing. I don't know. I just felt like they just didn't care. But for me, it wasn't even really about going to HR because I actually wanted like a result. It was going because it was more for me to document that I followed the protocol almost. So no one can't tell me that I didn't try, because it's like I sent this email on this date, I had the meeting on this date, I did this, I followed the appropriate stages kind of thing. But do you know what? I'll be really honest with you. I'm someone that minds my business in my job. So I'm not really involved with HR like that, because I'm not someone that's, I don't cause problems at work, and I don't have problems generally, so I've never really needed to utilize them that much. I feel like the people that are and I could be wrong, but this is my perception, I feel like the people that are overly familiar with like HR are like the problematic people.
The
troublemakers. And I'm just not a troublemaker. I really just keep my head down and mind my business. So yeah, there was never really a need for me to be dealing with HR.
To be fair, like, so in terms of what we do, Velisa does what we call employee relations.
You don't want to see me.
So that our job is literally dealing with all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Naughty people.
We do slightly like more generalist roles. So we might do like stuff to do with like strategic stuff, policy, training,
redundancies.
We've got bad news. It's Velisa that
Yeah.
Do you know?
all the tea.
Yeah, I used to get jokes of like, if someone would say hi to me, then other people would be like, oh, they know you. All the tears and the tea. Yeah.
So what if someone comes in and they've got a really funny problem? But they're crying.
You just keep a straight face. When they leave,
You laugh.
Oh, and
your next
I've got
HR
another question actually. So I've always heard this thing about people in HR that they're not allowed to be friends with people in the office. Is that true?
No.
You've got to keep it like...
I don't think it's true. Like but my like besties in some of my workplaces are not in HR. They've been in other areas, maybe not too far off from HR, like communications and things like that. But I don't think I'm ever like friends with other people in HR. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because there's layers to it. Like I'm also black. I'm also from South London. So I can't necessarily relate or feel like I can spend that much time with someone outside of the like HR gossip kind of thing. So I will go elsewhere.
Okay.
You said you mingle.
I mingle. I like to network. It helps. But I don't get... No, I mingle. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have boundaries. I don't have boundaries. And it hasn't backfired yet.
Yeah.
So.
The only thing is that I like to keep healthy distance, but like I've still got friends from other places that I've worked, but like the most soul destroying thing is doing a disciplinary or a redundancy for your friend. It's not nice, or someone that you actually like.
Okay, so how does that go? Because do you close the door? So would you? Okay, so this is how I envision it in my head, Jeb. Someone that like you're friends with or whatever, and you'll be like, Lola, can you, and then you're like, okay, cool. Close the door, and then you're like, listen, my G, like fix up, like please, I'm on my life, like I'm begging you. Like, that's how I envision.
Basically,
it
yeah.
You'd have to do that before it became official.
Yeah.
Like. And if Bola's got a big mouth, then you're in trouble. So you have Bola has to be your G.
Yeah.
You have to be riding because if Bola comes and tells that you said you're in trouble.
Because the thing is, I can't imagine, like, say you're performing a disciplinary or something with your friend and then being all formal. And then you...
No, but you have to.
You have to,
But then you're in a group chat with them and you're sending memes.
That's the problem. and then after, when you've given them the disciplinary or you've told them, listen, don't be friends with you no more.
Because you stopped
didn't protect them, but it's not even your decision.
Yeah, but I think that I'm not being funny. If I made good friends with someone that works in HR, I don't think I would want to even put them in that position.
Yeah.
Like, my G, just do your job in it. Like, don't make this even have to be a thing.
Some people are not good at their jobs.
Yeah.
That's just
But
me.
I wouldn't do the disciplinary.
I
just declined to do it. Yeah.
But if you're in a small company, you might still have to do it. So otherwise, you say, look, I've good friends with Velisa, and I don't think it would be appropriate.
But do you think that your boss would be like, oh, don't you think that's a bit unprofessional?
No.
Or do you think it's more professional to just
it is more professional to be like
I would love doing disciplinaries.
You would.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think you'd be quite good
Yeah,
at
I think
it,
you would too.
The only thing I would say is you're very like it would, you might, if someone says something, you'd be like, that's wild, like that sort of thing. Yeah. But I think you'd be good because you do actually like analyze things. I think you'd be quite fair and sort of, I actually want to ask you something as well. Yeah. So on one of the episodes, the Snitch on Your Wife Will Get Sacked episodes.
Oh, yeah.
So I like one of our episodes and I wanted to basically tell you the story and just ask what you would do in that situation.
Okay.
So I can't remember what episode we done. What's the Snitch on Your Wife Will Get Sacked episode?
That's what it's called.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not as good as you. But basically the dilemma basically was police officer. Yeah, true story. Okay. A police officer was called out for a job. Mm-hmm. He went to the crime scene or whatever it was, and he actually saw that it was his wife that had smashed into a wall or whatever. She was drunk over the limit. He didn't breathalyze her. He didn't like take her in. He didn't do all the normal protocols and all of that kind of stuff in order to sort of protect her. and eventually got sacked for not doing so. So the dilemma that we had was, if we were in that position, would you snitch on your other half to keep your job, or would you not and lose your job?
Oh, damn it, man. Do you know what? It depends on the crime.
The exact same crime.
Okay, so this exact crime, yeah?
No one was killed or hurt.
Yeah.
No.
And if these people were white, oh my God, she was always getting off. I definitely, not definitely, that sounds so stressed. Ultimately, yeah, you've done something wrong. Ultimately, yeah. I can't say. I think I would have just followed the protocol, you know.
Really?
Yeah, and just see what happens.
Take your husband to the police station.
Oh, no, actually, I don't know. I don't think I would. No, actually, that's a lie. I don't think I would, you know, if I'm being real.
Yeah.
If I pull up to the crime scene and I'm like, it's you. Oh, my God.
And the other thing, the other context here is, if you're a police officer and you lose your job for doing something like that, you can't go and be a police officer
Somewhere else.
That's your career done,
Your
right?
career is done. You have to make career change.
Yeah. I think I would not snitch and risk it. But then how
Okay.
did they find out that he didn't do all of that?
I don't actually know. Yeah, I don't think they show that. It was in Australia, but I'm not sure. But we were obviously having a conversation about it. I said absolutely not snitching. I just know my career's done in it. But
My whole career, though.
exactly, that's the thing, right?
No, you can't. I can't. My whole career. Are you going to support me now?
It's a good question.
Like I'm assuming the person that you're out drunk.
Now I've got to go retrain to do something else. When I was comfortable here, I had my pension was good. I had my benefits.
Well, that's the thing.
And your
Do you know
partner's possibly a
what?
drunk.
Do you know what? I'm taking them down. I can't lie to you. I'm taking them down to the police station.
I love that. At least you're honest.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
I'm just going to follow protocol. Like, I think I would, because
Okay.
I can't give up my whole career.
It is a big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's mad.
It is
You
a
have
big
to visit
thing.
them in jail.
Well, at least I'll be employed.
Mine is very much dependent on
Who it is.
Yeah, that part as
That's
well.
true.
Because if I'm trying to get rid of you anyway, then honey,
So true.
It's true.
So true.
you have the right to remain silent.
That is so true.
I've got a question for you, Audrey. When we first started, you were like, do we all identify as ladies?
Yeah.
Do you now feel like with lingo, you have to like tiptoe? Do you feel comfortable with it all? Or do you feel like you have to do it because now you've got like a brand and stuff? And like, you know how some people are like, I'm Velisa, my pronouns are.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm down for all of that, you know, but genuinely because of like doing what I do and speaking to so many different types of people and just being so educated on things now. So I genuinely try to like embody it in my everyday life because I don't know, for me, I always feel like I want to be on the right side of history.
Yeah.
And like, it takes nothing out of my day to check what someone's pronouns are and to just be respectful of people and the way they choose to identify, the way they choose to live their lives. And I'll be honest, it's only because I'm doing what I'm doing, because before I lived in like a bit of an echo chamber. You know, I grew up an African woman. Do you know what I mean? So I think we all know what kind of like comes with that naturally.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel privileged to be like educated and to have people that are like constantly teaching.
Yeah.
And so for me to like not take that on board, I just think that's willful ignorance kind of thing, because I know better. Like I can't, like the logic I'm talking about now is because I know, and I have people that are educating me constantly on these things. If you don't know, you don't know, innit? Do you know what I mean? But no, I want to do it. Like I think it's part of growth and like just trying to do better. So I don't feel like obligated necessarily. It just kind of comes naturally now. And like the way people act, like, you know, like people are like, oh my God, like you're making me have to change how I talk and blah, blah, blah. But eventually you get used to these things. Like, and again, it takes nothing out of your day. So no, for me, it's like a conscious decision to be inclusive and to, yeah.
that's good.
It's so funny because, like, obviously within HR, like diversity and inclusion, equality, diversity, whatever we're calling it, it falls into HR. So, like, HR is at the forefront of trying to figure out like how this works in the workplace, like the language we have to use, like the policies we have to have in place. And it's really difficult because the majority of people are not educated, and so you're like part of our job is educating other people, but people just assume that HR is educated as well. And
Yeah,
it's
true.
just
And then
people, so some will be and some won't be.
I can imagine that being the case, actually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because we were talking about Victoria's Secret coming back, being all inclusive with their promo video. Have you seen it?
oh no, I haven't seen it.
No. So, how did that come up
We're talking
again?
about cancel culture. So
Yeah.
on the back of this TikTok thing and this person getting fired, we were talking about how some brands love it and some brands don't. But some brands go out of their way, or not even go out of the way. They are just inclusive. Like if you were to compare Victoria's Secret, Alpha, Beta, whatever it was before, to how it is now to like Savage, Fenty, it's not the same. Like everyone knows. Like Rihanna just came out. She was like, it's not an afterthought. It's like this is literally for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was a conversation about whether that's why Victoria's Secret fell off. I don't think that's why they fell off. I think they fell off because they're irrelevant. But
And so their prices don't match the quality, hun.
I don't even know what the fuck was.
It's expensive for what it is.
Oh.
Have you ever shopped in Victoria's Secret?
No. I went in there, looked at the prices and turned my ass back around. That's why. So that's a secret they can keep.
No, I just think we were basically talking about that and how, like, do you think people you're saying that you want to, like, it doesn't cost you anything to like be inclusive and make everyone feel included. But do you think that's like something that do you think people care? I'll give you my view. I don't think people don't.
Yeah.
Generally, I don't think people care if it affects them.
100%.
But like, do you think generally people are starting to become more caring about things that don't affect us?
No. Because I think we're humans, and I think innately humans are selfish, and I think that, I'm not even necessarily mad at people, because the way the world is, inflation, everything's so bloody expensive. I'm not mad at people being like, do you know what? Not today, hon. Like, do you know what I mean? I can understand why people are maybe a bit contained about what they choose to like stand up for or speak on and stuff like that, and people just facing their front and minding their business. I understand that, because we've got enough on our plates, kind of thing, just trying to live and in this like world or whatever. But I don't think that people as a whole, as a collective, care. And do you know what I mean? Enough. And we should care, because at the end of the day, these are people's lives. And like, I'm really big on like, I don't know, like people existing and like feeling seen. Like that's so important to me. And when I engage with anybody, I want everybody to feel seen and to feel valued and feel validated. So for me, it's like a conscious effort. And before it wouldn't have been. But speaking to people that have different life experiences and hearing what they go through, honestly, it just makes you like empathize and it makes you want to do better. But that only comes with having conversations. But if you live in a space where you're not having these conversations, you're just not gonna know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So again, I consider it to be privileged to like come in contact with so many different people from different walks of life that enable me to like adapt how I exist. Do you know what I mean? But again, I'm really, really big on just everyone being seen. Like, I think that's so important. I would hate to, as Black women, we know what it's like to be ignored, or to feel like you're not important, or and just feel like everyone is more everything than you. So I would never want to project that back onto somebody else. But I don't think people do. I think people just tend to face their front.
I think when you speak about coming from a place of privilege and being educated, I feel like in certain kind of strands of diversity, when we're talking about it, that's acceptable. But in other parts, I'm like, you need to just be educated now. When it comes to like Black people and all this kind of stuff, and you still get a lot of it. Like we read a lot of tribunal news, and see what people are getting fired or sued or whatever for, and you still see a lot of the same things. Race, maternity, and I'm like, at this point, like, be educated. Like, there's no
at this point, right, I understand with like maybe more newer things when it comes to like gender identity and gender politics and stuff like that, because that, even though it's existed since the beginning of time, the conversation still feels quite new. But honey, like, get it together when it comes to racism and women's issues. Like, you came from a woman, for God's sake. Like, how can you not know better, or how can you not want to do better? And I think you're right. Like, I feel like it gets to a point where it's not good enough to be like, oh, I wasn't educated. Like, we all have smartphones, we all have access to everything at the click of a finger. If you want to know something, you can find it out. So now you're just this is a choice now.
Is it different in the creative space? Do you feel like, because I feel like at the moment in the majority of the creative space is very black right now. And obviously we go through shifts. So sometimes it's black, sometimes it's not, like depending on what's popular in the mainstream. So in the creative industry now, do you feel like it feels different from the workplace in terms of how you're treated as a black woman and what people understand, because they want you. They're like, okay, that's what's popular. So we need the black vote, basically. So we need to know how these people think. But do they, or do you feel like it's similar to being in the workplace where there's a bit of like, did they just say that kind of thing?
No, absolutely. I think, in the creative world, I think at the end of the day, white men are still running everything at the top. Do you know what I mean? At the top of all these chains and stuff like that, they're still ultimately controlling things. And I feel like that does still trickle down. I do think that the creative world is a little bit better just by virtue of what it is. Do you know what I mean? So people tend to be a little bit more like, quote unquote, woke, or just a bit more self-aware, because it's not so rigid. Like, you know, you come across people from the LGBTQIA plus community, you come across, you know, people of colour because you want our sauce and you want our flavour. Do you know what I mean? So people are a little bit better in the creative industry, but trust and believe it's still there. Do you know what I mean? The politics are still there. The bias is still there. The racism is still there. The anti-black womanness is still there. The anti-blackness is still there. Like, all those things are definitely like they're still prevalent, but I don't know, I feel like it's not as bad as maybe the corporate world, I'd say. Just because there isn't necessarily like that rigid nature.
Yeah.
Anything, but it still exists 100%.
An agency, I think it's called 7-6. It's one of our ladies called Charlotte, and she's mixed race, and she has this thing. She speaks a lot about influencer marketing, and she basically speaks about the influencer pay gap. And basically, there's a pay gap between like what like black influencers get paid versus like their white counterparts. And I feel like that's crazy, because even when you look at the kind of content that is being made and how brands want to kind of, I guess, commoditize blackness, you think that they want to pay for it, but you pay less. And that's insane to me.
It's still a thing. The girlies talk about it all the time. It's still very much a thing. Or it's just things like, you know, these white like influencers and content creators, they make something so basic, and the black content creators go in and they're making like really, really dope content, and then just it's not being reflected in the pay. And more time, the engagement's better as well. Like, you know, there's so much talk about that. You know, people that, you know, now that they've eradicated fake followers and all of that stuff, like you're really seeing people's engagement in general. And it's just racism. Like, there's nothing else to it. Like, you just want to pay the white girls more. Like, let's just call a spade kind of thing. Because if you put these two people together, they can have the exact same following. The engagement can be the exact same. Why would you feel like they should be paid different? Yeah, like what's the one big disparity other than race? Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
Yeah,
progress still to be made.
Yeah. Always work in progress.
You know, sometimes I think positive about it, but I do have in my mind that like there will only be so much change in my lifetime. Obviously.
Yeah, same. We just have to keep fighting. It's tiring, but
I was just gonna say it's tired.
Give up.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't fight for shit. I just live my life.
Yeah, that's it.
I can't come and die. Like, I'm really not like, I don't have like activist energy. Like, I really, really rate activists.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I really rate them because
exhausting.
I don't have that in me personally. I don't feel like that's my lane in terms of like how I spread a message or get a message across. I don't think that's for me, but I highly respect it.
Yeah,
so many aspirational things. Like even earlier when you were talking about the routine and stuff, I would love to be one of those morning routine babes. Like wake up, yoga, meditate, skincare, run, blah blah. There's loads of things that I want in life that I've just said, you know what, not for now. Maybe one day I'll do activism. Maybe one day I'll have morning, like, you know, soft life, morning girl routine. Not now. I'm not doing Pilates. I'm the only one in the world that doesn't do Pilates.
I know. Like, you can't book a Pilates class to save your life now.
Crazy.
Yeah, out of the blue, just.
I've heard it's really expensive as well.
It's expensive. I've heard. I've not tried. I'm not even going to pretend like I'm going to try. I'm going
to get that. It's not my bag. You see when people contour abs on.
Yeah, exactly. Why should I go and do Pilates when you could just draw it on for me?
That's true.
Ain't right.
You know, I'm never going to be Pilates or wait. Even now, like I have a son who's 1, and he wakes me up in the morning, and it's like he wakes me up. Like I'm not awake to be like morning. Like no, I just hear him shout "car," and I'm like, oh my god. And that's how I get up. So that's never going to be me either.
That's hilarious.
Just coming up to time.
Yeah. Thank you, Audrey.
That was so fun. I was putting it in my HR bag.
You could be in HR.
You could definitely be in
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you know what? A lot of
I'll just start laughing.
a lot of PAs and EAs do like maneuver into HR.
Yeah, they do.
No, a lot of that's actually true because a lot of the girlies that I worked with did that. I just don't think I'm serious enough for HR.
But
the thing is, again, that's maybe a misconception, that a myth that you need to bust. Because in my mind, I feel like you need to be like quite serious. Like I just feel like I'm too much of a joker.
You do, but like with me, they don't know me, so they don't know half the time I'm actually being quite dry and sarcastic with some of the questions that I'm asking, but they don't know that. So
it's just so good in the disciplinary.
I think so
You
too.
just can't respond to some of the stuff they say because some
of it is wild.
People lie, and you know that they lie.
Also, do people ever get like not physical, but like
they
close to
do
physical?
get physical.
Do they?
Yeah, I've had security have to stand outside the room.
But the thing is, if they do that, they're definitely getting sacked.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, imagine you came in for a warning and now you've called me a bitch, but now you're getting sacked. Well done.
Stuff like that has happened.
Yeah.
Damn it, man.
I had someone who said I had a personal agenda against him. I was a bitch. I don't even know him.
But they hope it.
No, and the
They love that word.
Yeah, the offence was like vaping in the office. So it wasn't even like
It wasn't
you
crazy.
couldn't stop vaping in the office.
Oh, for God's sake.
So it's a small thing.
Yeah.
Like, now you're calling me a bitch.
So now it's like it's done.
What did you think? It was like a white man.
Yeah, of course.
Why would you think you could just vape in the office though?
Oh, let me tell you.
mad.
When asked if there was any mitigating circumstances in the disciplinary, he pulled out a piece of paper which basically said that vaping is an involuntary response, so he couldn't help it.
Oh, I know.
Right.
Do you know what? They need to bottle that audacity that white men have. I would buy it in abundance.
I'd take some.
But why the hell would you want to just vape in the office? That's so random.
Not necessarily.
It's not needed. Like,
But that's the thing about
Just to be
so
cool.
when you come and get across people like that, what you want to say to them is what you just said.
Yeah.
But you can't say that.
Yeah, you have to be
you can't say why
neutral.
would you smoke in the office.
You
No.
could be like, so is there? So this is why you're
You
here.
can't
blah,
say
blah.
that's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but you'd be
Oh,
like,
good.
just to make sure we have all the facts. Is there anything that you want to put forward? Is there something that we don't understand about why you've been vaping in the office? Like, this is now your time. That's what you have to do.
That's how you
You have to look at them like dead ass like this. Like,
And it's like that Diddy me minute where you're both just looking back at each other.
Literally.
Because I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah.
It's literally that.
That's literally what happens. The guy that ran naked in Dubai at a company that I worked for, he ran naked through the hotel in Dubai. And I had to sit there and say, so on the so-and-so of July, you were indecently exposed. Of course, this was the most stupid discipline. I couldn't believe what I had to do. And I was like, do you understand why we're here? Like, that's the conversation.
That's sort of conversation.
we had one where we had a Christmas party and we went to a hotel for a Christmas party and one guy got drunk and slapped one of the waitress's bums.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So
HR
now
goes through it.
You've got to keep that inside.
Yeah, you
can't be like, for
I
goodness
have a
sake.
newfound respect for you. Like, I really do. Like, before, I just thought, HR, they just make sure I get paid. And, they deal with people's complaints.
That's the easy part.
But,
getting
like,
paid.
no, how are you sitting in an office with a straight face knowing someone ran naked through the hotel?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
We go through it.
We do.
You guys really do. I rate it. I left here with my opinion changed.
Oh, that's
That's
what you want.
good.
Yeah.
I feel educated and I'm going to go out and spread the word. Next time I hear anyone talking shit about HR, I'm going to be like, don't you
Please.
You're going to go back and delete that tweet.
I actually...
No, don't.
No, I'm joking.
Don't do
I'm
it.
joking. I won't. So in my feelings.
You'll mess up my feed.
That part as well. I don't want to mess up your content as well. Yeah.
No, but thank you very much for coming on the
This
show.
was so fun. I loved it. Thank you, ladies.
It was amazing.
To all our listeners, please remember to follow, share, comment, subscribe on all platforms. And over to Velisa.
That's a wrap, guys.
Bye. Bye.